is the Speaker of the North Carolina House, Thom Tillis. And Mr. Speaker, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning, Tyler. Hope you're doing well.
I am good. And hope you're doing well as well. And I guess the first question that we have to ask is, why did you decide to run for the United States Senate?
Well, I term limited myself. I wasn't going to run for the Speaker role or the House role anymore. I did that when I ran back in 2006 and started looking ahead to 2014, looking at what the President and the Democrat-led Senate has done to this country. Felt like somebody had to step up that could beat Kay Hagan, and I believe we can do that.
And, with regards to this race, of course, it looks like, we got this three-man race coming up. How important do you think your role in this last legislative session, or should I say the last two legislative sessions since the Republicans have taken control, is going to play in this Senate race?
I think it'll be very important. If you take a look at what we've done, what we started in 2011, we've had a great balanced agenda. We've clearly fulfilled the promises we made to the folks that put us into the majority back in 2010 elections. And I think the results will speak for themselves, and I think it serves as a great contrast between the positive things we've been doing by reducing taxes, by reducing spending, by reducing regulations. It's the exact opposite of what Senator Hagan has done since she's been in Washington. She's voted to increase taxes. She's voted to implement Obamacare. She's voted to expand regulatory environment beyond any level in the history of this nation. I think that's a great compare and contrast, and I think it'll serve us well in the election next year.
Now, of course, everyone's focused on what's going on in Washington right now with this impasse between Republicans and Democrats. And I think a great analogy, of course, would be what you all were able to accomplish with regards to voter ID. Now, a lot of far left Democrats like to look at voter ID as being this very, sort of just overbearing bill. But what I saw with regards to the drafting of this bill and the sort of creation of it was how you guys originally had a sort of perspective on voter ID. And as you heard from the opposing party on what they would like to see happen, you guys adapted. And I feel like a lot of people think that's exactly what we need in Washington. Instead of saying my way or the highway, it's okay, what do you have to add to the conversation? And then let's see if we can implement that so we both can come together on this bill.
I agree, Tyler. I think you saw that with a lot of other things that we did. Remember, we had a Democrat governor when we came into the majorities in 2011, and the House did not have super majorities. And yet we got a third of their caucus, 18 out of 52 of their members, to vote with us on one or more veto overrides against the Democrat Governor Perdue. You do that by sitting down, listening, and producing results. That's really what people want out of Washington. If we can't get everything that we want, let's at least get a portion of it and move forward and stop this stalemate, because we've got a generation hanging in the balance here in terms of the deficit issues and a number of other very important things. And, we saw that. We've been working well with the governor. We're working well with our colleagues over in the Senate. I think what we're doing in Raleigh is exactly what's needed in Washington.
And what is your opinion on what's going on in Washington right now? I mean, is there do you think what's happening is what should be happening? Do you think there should be more communication between the parties, more communications among the inner parties themselves? Should the Republicans be working better with their own party than what's going on? What is your opinion on what's happening in Washington right now?
Well, first, I think it has to start at the top. It amazes me that President Obama discusses a willingness to talk to the Iranian leadership, to speak with the Russian leadership, but he seems to have difficulty speaking with the Republican leadership. So from the top, the president needs to lead by example, come in and be willing to put things on the table that are important to him that are causing the impasse. Then when you get into Congress, you absolutely need to see the two parties sitting down, having productive discussions. When you get to the caucus, it's the same thing. The caucus members need to come together and work hard to have a unified strategy coming out of that caucus, because if they don't, the liberal media, the folks to the far left will absolutely pick us apart, and the person who suffers the most from that is the American taxpayer and citizen that's expecting them to get something done. So I do believe that it begins with the president. He has failed to lead. He has failed to bring the parties together. There have been numerous examples of where a president of the opposite party figured out a way to work together and got things done. This president has not a single success he can point back to over the last 5 years where he's actually led and brought people together.
And of course, you just mentioned something very interesting. Of course, the process, working with the caucuses, working with the parties, finding a way to work together. Now, the other two, I guess your opponents in this race, the other two major names, of course, Dr. Greg Brannon and Dr. Mark Harris, have not held office before. And do you think that that's a big difference? So it kind of differentiates you between the other two candidates in this race, is that you've been in office and sort of how it all works and how to get things done?
Well, yeah, I've only 8 years ago I was PTA president at a high school, so it's not like I've had at least one of them say I'm the institutional guy. I didn't realize being PTA president made you a part of the institution, but I really think it's a blessing. I was having this discussion Saturday that I did get an opportunity to serve in the minority before I served and was a leader in the majority. It does matter. Experience matters. I had a friend of mine post on Facebook, actually from out in your neck of the woods, I think. He said, the U.S. Senate, Tillis for Senate, because the Senate is not an entry-level job. There's a lot of important things that you need to understand from process. There's a lot of important things that you need to understand in terms of working with people, prioritization, and discipline, and I do believe that it's important. I'm not one who thinks that somebody should go up to the Senate and be there for 40 years. I think that, as I've done in the House, term limit it myself, I think that there need to be limits and you need to get fresh legs in there. But experience is a critically important part of this job, and temperament. There are a lot of things that I would like to get done that I recognize I can't do it for structural reasons, votes, or whatever. I also think it's that you have to have somebody who, when you make a commitment, it's within your reach to deliver on it. And I think with the lack of experience, you may actually set expectations. People may be voting on something that you honestly, if you're honest with yourself, you understand the process, know that it may take years to do if it can be done at all. And I think that's important. I think that's what the American people are expecting out of people, results.
And I said my big question for last, and you actually kind of hit on it, is that, I've heard from many that you are sort of being portrayed as the establishment candidate, the Karl Rove candidate is how they're sort of describing you, some out there. And that's most likely from every political person I've talked to said how this race is sort of going to divide up because, the media loves their very easy stories and loves putting people into boxes. And so what challenge do you think you're going to face when they sort of put you in that box as being the establishment candidate? Do you think that's an accurate description or not even close?
They need to keep in mind, I've been in the majority more years than I've been in the minority more years than I've been in the majority. I was in the minority for 4 years. I'm just finishing my third year as the Speaker of the House. I quit my job in 2009 and worked to get candidates and get us into a majority because I wanted to bust up the establishment. I wanted to take out the long-term serving Democrat machine and put in fresh legs. And when we came in, we busted up the House permanent rules. We had 120 to nothing vote on the rules because we were doing things differently. We were doing things in a way that was respectful to the minority and I think more modern and more contemporary in our thinking about leadership. We cut a third of all standing committees because I was tired of this nonsense of giving people, you want to make sure you had enough committees where everybody could have a gavel where you needed them or not. If you take a look at what we've done, I have been anything but the traditional establishment person. And that's exactly the sort of mentality that I think we need to bring to Washington.
I would definitely agree with you there. I think a lot of people, they just love to set the narrative, and I think the non-establishment party is exactly who we need to send to Washington right now to kind of break up everything that's going on up there. Well, Mr. Speaker, I know you're a very busy man. I know there's a lot going on, and so I appreciate you coming on this morning and taking the time.
Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it, too. Have a great day.
All right, once again, that, of course, was Speaker Thom Tillis. He is the Speaker of the North Carolina House and running for United States Senate. We'll be sure to get him back on the program when he is available. Like I said, I had Dr. Mark Harris on Friday's show, and Dr. Greg Brannon will be on the show soon enough again. Quick break here. If you want to give me a call, this is the last call, 910-763-4000. We'll be right back.
I have an addiction to
Tyler Crawley.
All right. No.
Only on 980.